What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Records and Rants. My name is Ice, and with me, as always, is Dixon. How are you?
Ice, great to be back after a week break. Now explain to everybody exactly what happened to your schedule that you couldn't join us for an episode of this show.
Oh, wow, we didn't even talk about this. You're really railroading me here. I actually don't remember. You know,
don't even worry about it.
Okay. I was going to say, I was traveling for the weekend, came back, rushing around, getting stuff ready for my wedding. If no one knows, I'm getting married, believe it or not, believe it or else. And so just a lot of stuff going on last week, and I apologize to everyone. Of course, I'm sure you missed us. All our almost 300 fans. We're almost up to 300 guys. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that.
Appreciate it. No, it's great to be. The only apology I need is that you and I are back in the studio together, recording yet another edition of Records and Rants. Well on the way to the road. Well on the road to 1,000 subs. Clocked in at 285 as of this episode, as we're recording it, which is awesome. So, as Ice gave you a little call to action, where else could you listen to two of the best looking, best sounding, smartest individuals on the internet? Right here is the only place.
That's right. You're not getting this kind of deep dive into things. I mean, and we have a huge catalog too. So please. Look at our channel. We literally have a massive catalog, so go back and check that out as well if you just subscribe to us.
Yep. Flip through that catalog, and don't forget. Now, ready, you're going to get everybody's favorite segment if you subscribe, and everybody's favorite segment is, of course, the comment of the week.
Yes, I love this segment. This is the best. I hear you have a good one for us this week, Dixon.
So it's actually pretty controversial. Comment, in my opinion. For those of you who don't know, and this is the reason why you need to scroll through our catalog, my esteemed co-host Ice is not a fan of one of the greatest albums of all time, the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds. And
get a lot of flack for that.
Yes, so we talked about it, and he actually released a clip of a previous episode we recorded where he discusses why he doesn't like the album. And I shortly storm off after he says that. And I'm surprised we're even back together doing the show again.
I know, that was a rough patch. That really was.
But what's interesting about this, so this is on your little clip, the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds is bad, ? And two comments on this video, and I want to bring them up. So this is from the guy Slither, Slither, which is that's had to be one of the first ever YouTube usernames to get the name Slither. That's pretty.
Yeah.
What'd you say? Like, it's not like Slither 1 2 3 4 5. It's Slither.
That's impressive. Yeah, he must be an OG.
Must be an OG. OG Slither. Their comment is, "It's mostly a filler album. It has barely enough good songs to fill an EP." Which is interesting. Interesting take.
That is, and it sounds like something out of my mouth, honestly.
It does, and I think and I get where he's coming from. There's probably not a lot of hits on this album. There's not. It was an experimental thing, and I think that's probably why they think this way. And it's interesting. Respect the opinion. I don't know if they have listened to it or if they have ears, or maybe they don't like music all that much. Maybe they don't like music. I don't know.
really respect the opinion, but you must be brain dead. I don't know if there's something wrong with you.
Something traumatic happened in your life that avoids you from enjoying this album. It is what it is. It's so good. And then there's another comment on this below Slithers. This is from Jay Tenaz. Jtenaz. I'm not a fan either. Actually, the comment is, "I'm not a fan neither." I corrected the English on that. And that's all I'm going to say about it.
Appreciates that.
And that's all you got. So yeah, so you have some people in agreement with you on that side of the line.
When I was going into that, and I knew it was going to be unpopular because a lot of people absolutely love Pet Sounds, and if you're searching for Pet Sounds on YouTube, you probably enjoy it. So I'm actually surprised that not only did people who didn't like it click on our video, but they stayed long enough to actually give an opinion. So that's
absolutely, for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I mean, the interesting thing I feel about the history of that album is that when it first came out, and I think you talked about this. I think you hit on it in the video that a lot of people, it wasn't super popular when it first came out,
right?
Because it was
experimental.
It was a
flop. Yeah, it was a big flop.
Right. It wasn't until later that it became, like an iconic album.
Yes. No. Yeah, for sure. And it had to grow on people, which is how most good things end up going. I could see how there might be that cultural component, that media component. Everybody saying this is great, you must like this, because it is well respected. It is in there, and it is on Rolling Stones list and things like that. And so that was actually a bonus segment. So yeah, it's bonus comment of the week.
I love this.
Ice, back to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that segment, Dixon. Really appreciate it. I actually have one that I want to submit for next week.
Okay, excellent. I'm excited.
We'll talk about that BTS.
I look forward to it.
But Dixon, let's get to the meat of this episode. And
yes,
you brought this up a couple days ago, and totally unexpected. And I love when we do episodes like this where we take a song and ask the question, is it one of the greatest songs ever? And I think this song that you picked out absolutely fits.
Really? Okay, interesting. And I think we could even take that a step further. I think you can make the case that this might be the greatest song of all time. Maybe give you a handful, maybe top 5. I think it has to have that discussion. And guess where you probably heard it first? Guess where you heard this song first? You have any idea?
I cannot imagine. I can't imagine where such an iconic, influential, heart-wrenching song, emotional song could possibly come from. Where would I have heard this, Dixon? I have no idea.
You would have heard it in the blockbuster smash Shrek from 2001. That's where you would have heard it. That is
what he told. I didn't believe you at first.
Yeah.
How about that?
Craziness.
I know.
We talked about the New Moon soundtrack. The Shrek soundtrack is actually really good. If you go back and listen to it, like if you ever catch Shrek, the soundtrack is very good. It is. And it's not made for it. It's not made for the movie, but it's a compilation of songs that are completely random off the wall. Like, we'll say it. Hallelujah. Written by Leonard Cohen. This is the John Cale cover version in that film.
Yes.
And it really rose to popularity as a result of that moment. And there was another moment in history too. But yes, that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah. And, when you mention that, because I've heard the song before, and I'll get into my history with it, but hearing it in Shrek, it almost like didn't compute. It was almost like a Mandela effect that I just didn't believe that it was in there. And then I was watching it, and it's really, I'm like, this is a serious song. They're putting it in Shrek. And I think it's probably because of the problem that Shrek has rose to this meme status, like Shrek is love, Shrek is life, like this whole thing, that weird animation that someone made. And I think it's rose to like memehood. But I guess you could make that song maybe fit into there, but it kind of seems ridiculous now. But that probably is me biased on how I feel about the song itself.
For sure. No, yeah, and that's absolutely right. Who would have thought that it's become a meme and this is the song?
Right.
So complicated history sort of with this song. Written by Leonard Cohen. Hundreds of drafts, hundreds of lines, different verses. He's written and rewritten the song several times. Took him over, I think, 5 or 10 years to write the song and finish it. Really, it was actually submitted for an album that Columbia Records rejected. They didn't want the album. And then Jeff Buckley, who is deceased, died too soon, covered it in 1994. And that's the version I think most people identify with, the Jeff Buckley version. Raw, it's stripped down. I mean, I think there's a Jeff Buckley box set, and there's like 62 different versions of it, or different covers and that kind of thing. It's kind of launched and put his career on the map. That ended far too soon. And then he had the John Cale version. John Cale recorded that in 1991, and that was featured in the film Shrek. And I remember do you remember this story, a little BTS between you and I? Remember the story about Hallelujah?
Not like a personal story that you had with Hallelujah.
Yeah, with you and myself and our other one of our other buddies.
I don't know, possibly. You might have to jog my memory here. Can we bring this up? Is it something? Is it...
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
100%. So, I remember somebody said it was like there was either it was a jukebox scenario or it was like a playlist. It was like, oh, I said I'm going to put on Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen. I love this song, and everybody's like, yeah, put it on. So I put on the Leonard Cohen album version, and Leonard Cohen has Leonard Cohen's voice. I think you could put him on the same plane as Bob Dylan. I don't think he's a good singer. I don't think he's a polished singer. You know, the textbook definition of a singer, right?
Yes.
I put it on. And I remember our buddy looks at you and looks at me and he goes, "This isn't the song. This isn't it." And I'm like, "Yeah, this is it." You're like, no, this is not it. And I'm like, "This is the song. This is the original version of this song that Leonard Cohen wrote and released."
Yes.
And nobody believed it because nobody's heard it. They only ever heard the cover. It's incredible.
Exactly. And it's kind of interesting in that aspect. I mean, Leonard Cohen to have written this, it was in 1984, I believe, like you said. Right. And for him to make that song, such a beautiful song that so many people have wanted to cover since then. I mean, you have hundreds of covers. It's almost kind of heartbreaking that he is not really well known. I mean, out in the general public, I mean, people who enjoy music obviously know that Leonard Cohen wrote the song, but the general public has no idea. They know the Jeff Buckley version or the Kale version, which, you know, people have seen from Shrek.
Right, exactly. And I think it's one of the most covered songs of all time.
Yeah.
Leonard Cohen got his start in music late. He was a poet. He's from Canada. I think on the same plane as Bob Dylan. Definitely, I think Bob Dylan's more prolific and more. You could probably make the argument commercial than Leonard Cohen. Leonard Cohen was more subdued and more introspective. Not that Dylan wasn't. Dylan just, I think, was a better marketer. And it goes back to our theory that Bob Dylan is the ultimate troll. And so he released a few albums, and Hallelujah is one of them. He had a real weird phase where he worked with Phil Spector, and Phil Spector took the album they were recording and wouldn't let Leonard Cohen have access to it. He produced it and released it without his permission. That was a whole big thing. That was, I think, Death of a Ladies' Man. So he has kind of an interesting history. And I want to touch on this song. The reason why I want to touch on this song is because you have to talk about it when you talk about some of the greatest songs of all time, like you said. You have to.
Yes,
the fact of the longevity, the legacy, the amount of cover versions, the reception it has. I think it's like almost you can compare it to like the Johnny Cash version of Nine Inch Nails' Hurt. Like it's become was Johnny Cash's song as opposed to Nine Inch Nails, and it took on a whole life of its own, a whole nother level of artist on its own through the covers and through its legacy, through avenues like Shrek. So that's, I think, why we wanted to bring it up and talk about it.
Yeah, definitely. When you have a song that's and I was thinking about this, it's like a living song. Other people have taken it and
that's great.
Adapted it to what they think it is. And I mean, and you have that from listening to it as well. It's kind of interesting because, and I don't know if you're going to talk about this, but the meaning that Leonard Cohen had behind the song.
Right. No, for sure. And there's a lot of different there's additional lyrics. The Jeff Buckley version features some of those additional lyrics. I want to touch on what my interpretation of it is, and I want you to get into Leonard Cohen and what his interpretation of it was.
Okay.
All right. So I really want to spend some time. I really want to spend some time on. I don't know if it's the heart of the song, but you have to talk about David, right? So let me preach for a minute on David. So
let's hear it.
So King David, right? So King David's in the Bible, author of the Book of Psalms, which is some of the greatest poetry ever written. King David, Jesus comes from David's lineage. David is a very holy character, and David is also a very flawed character. He could have been a better father. He wasn't. There's Psalm 3. He's basically on the run because his son is trying to kill him. You talk about David he's an adulterer. He is vindictive. He's selfish, but he's also holy. And he's also trying to get as close to God as he possibly can. So in verse 2, your faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof. Her beauty in the moonlight overthrew you, right? So this goes back to David. So King David's hanging out in his room, and he sees a young woman, Bathsheba, bathing on the roof of the palace or the building next door. David, instead of just saying, looking at her and saying, okay, well, whatever, great, he inquires about her, right? They bring her up to his room. They engage in an interpersonal experience. And she is pregnant with his son or child. Her husband is out in war, in battle. So he says to the guy, hey, send a message to her husband. Bring him back. I want to talk to about him talk to him about a battle plan. And the idea is they would be reunited and they would have intercourse as well, and she would cover up the whole David thing, like he was the result of the pregnancy.
Oh, okay, okay.
Bathsheba's husband says, it's not really right for me to leave my friends and my family in battle. I'm not going to come back. Whatever you need to tell me, just tell me. David has him move to the front of the line, so he will be killed, which he is. He's then killed in battle, right? Pretty selfish, pretty narcissistic, definitely not holy behavior. The thing was, right. And then David then tries to ask for forgiveness, and David is then chosen by God to carry on his lineage, to carry on that we're going to bring God to the earth, make him vulnerable, have him have the human experience. There, I think, is your parallel with Leonard Cohen as an artist and as a man as well. And I think Leonard Cohen is very much into Eastern spirituality, Buddhism. He's been in, yes. He was a monk for like a while, like he was in this retreat and he didn't record anything, trying to attain some sort of enlightenment, whether that be through religion, whether it be through spirituality, whether it be through a philosophical perspective. To me, you have parallels in this song to Leonard Cohen's life. And I think all of us can understand that. Those of us who live for something else, those of us who are living for, okay, I want to be a better person. I want to be holier. I want to be closer to God. That parallel with David, with Leonard Cohen's former Judaism, with then his exploration into the Eastern spirituality and philosophies and things like that, I think is a total summation of this. And I think he talks about what he's gained, what he's lost, what he's struggling with, and then moves forward from there through this song. That's kind of my interpretation of it. And it all starts with David there. And there's, I heard a really, not to go on about David, but I heard this really interesting thought about David, and that, when he's looking at Bathsheba, the second look was the sin. You could see something in your periphery and say, okay, I see it and I move on. The second look, that was the sin. That was the unholiness. And I think we all struggle with that temptation that, okay, I'm earthly, but I want to be something else. I'm broken, but I can be mended. I could seek something else. And I think that parallel exists, and that message exists in this song.
Wow, that was that was really good. I mean, and I'm really glad that you mentioned that very first verse right there, because, I listened to the song and I listened to, how Leonard Cohen describes it. And I've only listened to like a few short interviews and snippets, but right. That first verse right there, I never understood what that had to do with what happens in the song, essentially. Yeah. But honestly, it is my favorite, it's my favorite verse in the entire song.
For sure.
What do you make of the secret chord? What do you interpret that? I mean, like I know he's referencing David, but what does a secret chord mean? Do you have any info on that?
Right. Well, I think at that moment, the lyrics before that, I heard there was a secret chord that David played, and he goes into it goes like this, the fourth, the fifth. I think he's describing his music. I think he's saying, okay, I have a formula here. I'm a songwriter. I'm a poet. Is it filler? Maybe. I don't know. But with that being said, the secret chord, right? Is there any easy answer to attaining this, quote, holiness, to attaining this enlightenment, to getting closer to where I feel more meaning, right? Do I have a direct connection? Is God hearing my prayers? That's how I interpret this, whether it be God or whatever your thing is that you're praying to, right? I think it goes back to, and this is a quote from Leonard Cohen, and he says, this is from Wikipedia, the meaning of hallelujah. This world is full of conflicts and full of things that cannot be reconciled. But there are moments when we can reconcile and embrace the whole mess, and that's what I mean by hallelujah. So you have this mess, you have this brokenness. Right, is there a connection? Is there an easy way to get there through song, through words, through music, through whatever it might be, to attain that level of, okay, my brokenness isn't me. This isn't my identity. My next level, my belief, my call to something greater is my identity. And I think that's where that comes from too.
Okay, I think I see what you're saying, and I feel like who Leonard Cohen is, how he's like a masterful poet. I feel like this is a song that can be interpreted in so many different ways, and I think that's the beauty of it too. Right. I feel like there's something that he's going after, but you really could take it and make it your own Hallelujah,
Yeah,
essentially. And
absolutely.
And I think that's what has given it such a large grasp on on all the cover, like the cover community that has taken this and made hundreds and hundreds of covers of this song.
Mm-hmm.
And again, another thing is that's why this song is so popular. You listen to it and it plays into your soul. There's something about it. I mean, even that first verse, how it builds up and just I just like this line. I don't even have like I guess an explanation for it, but when he said it goes like this, the fourth, the fifth, the minor falls, the major lift, like that. I don't know. I just just building up right there. I don't know. You know that you're in for something fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And like I said, that's what I was, saying before. It's like, it's that build up. This is the song. This is it. Here's the chords. Here's the progression, right? You go from there. So is that the parallel too? Is okay, here's the progression. Here's the progression in the song. Is there a progression to my life? Yes. Is there a progression to my brokenness? Is there a progression to all the things I can't reconcile, as he says? Is there a progression to the things I can embrace and be okay with? I think there's that level too. And like you said, there's all these different interpretations of what you can interpret it. And you made the good point. It just kind of sticks with you. There's just that heaviness about it. There's just an emotion about it that I don't think you can fully explain. And I love that it's like this. The original album version, it has this 80s synth pop thing happening as like the main driver of the backing track. And it just doesn't really, you don't think, okay, wait, this is it. And then it's like, okay, it still works.
It does. It absolutely does, and it's also the different kind of emotions that this evokes as you're going through it. I mean, and then at the end, I mean, it's still like a triumphant, like I'm still going to, stand tall and face these trials and tribulations, and says, I'll stand right there before the Lord of Song with nothing on my tongue but hallelujah, and then it ends with the chorus again, and I just think that's absolutely beautiful.
Right. No, you're absolutely correct, and I think you could point to one of the additional lyrics, some of the things he incorporates, and I think this might have been this was in the Jeff Buckley version. One of the additional lyrics, it says, "And every breath we drew was hallelujah." So though there's a lot of different hallelujahs, you have the idea in organized religion, the church. You have the idea of, okay, well, maybe I'm breathing and I got up today. That's hallelujah. Maybe I beat something. Maybe I gained something. Hallelujah is a different interpretation to everybody. And that's why I think just that word alone, being the song, the idea of the song and the concept of the song, that's why it's such a powerful thing, because anything could be a hallelujah if you look at it, I suppose.
Yes, absolutely. And I think another thing that I really like about this song is the fact that the musical, like you said, the backing track and everything like that, it's, I don't want to say it's simple, but it just, it carries along essentially. And it just makes it so much easier to listen to and appreciate the vocals of the song, whoever's singing, whether it be Leonard Cohen or Jeff Buckley.
Yeah.
It makes you able to focus on what's going on with the song. And this song more than any other song that I listen to, because I'm not a poet like yourself. I'm not a poet like Leonard Cohen.
Stop right now.
these lyrics are above me, and this is a very I think it's a very lyrically heavy song.
Yeah.
It's not something that's like a pop song that it's just like the same thing over and over again. I feel like even with that, I'm still able to listen to and appreciate what the song is trying to say, what it's trying to get out of you.
Right. Yeah. I think that's and that's what it should be. The appreciation is the factor, and like you said, that's the great thing about these things, is that okay, you have a meaning or you have an idea, and then it might mean something else to somebody else. And the fact that I think what you're saying, it's heavy but it's accessible.
Yes,
I think that's why it's so good too.
Right. I mean, I honestly get, so my kind of history with this song, and I don't know where I started listening to this.
Okay.
I don't know if it was after Shrek and it got in my head and I just downloaded it, but I had it on a CD. And
wow, okay.
And the thing was, I back in the day we burned CDs. We would download crap from LimeWire, all music, and then we put it on and burn it to a CD. And it turned out, this was one of the songs of my rotation. I absolutely love this song. It wasn't on the CD by accident. I didn't put it within the music that I wanted to put on the CD. Accidentally didn't add it. So I'm like, I need to add this. Like, I've totally forgot. Oh my God. I go back and I burn one single song on a CD because I want to listen to it so bad. I don't want to make a whole nother playlist.
Wow.
I have Hallelujah somewhere in my collection of stuff, probably back at my parents' house. I have Hallelujah on one single song on a CD, and I listen to that many times. I would rewind it, and it really got me into music and trying to like sing. It was the Buckley version, and I told myself like this is like it's like making me well up inside. It's giving me goosebumps. Like I want to be able to sing like this. I love this song. I would just blast it in my PT Cruiser on my way to school every day. So that's
what? Do you need any more evidence that this is one of, if not the greatest song of all time?
Right.
You have one CD with one lyric, one song on it, and it was this song. That that says everything about it. It really does.
Right.
The idea that you needed to hear it and needed to experience it, regardless of the version. It's the same song. It's been covered so many times, hundreds and hundreds of times, and I think it's also a disservice. I don't think that, from my understanding, I don't think that Leonard Cohen achieved the mainstream commercial success of his peers. And I think that says a lot about the complexity of his work. And it also says a lot about the emotional aspect of his work, because like we talked about Tool, some of the stuff is hard to listen to. I have a pretty surface level understanding of Leonard Cohen's catalog. I'm not in depth, but he's one of those figures, not to bring in our favorite Morrissey, but he's one of these Morrissey guys. Definitely not controversial. Definitely not the type of some would describe as Morrissey, but the idea of what he's doing, that you believe that he believes in what he's doing.
Yeah, so that's a good. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Right.
So I think he has that sort of that enigma around him and his personality and who he is, and it's so funny because he was a smoker, drinker, and then he found what he ascribed to belief wise in the Eastern religion and philosophies, and towards the end of his life he went back to smoking, went back to living how he lived previously, and he's like, you know what, I made peace where I am. I made peace of what I've accomplished, what I've done, where I'm headed, what I'm doing. I have no fear about the unknown. I want to live how I'm going to live. And to me, that may be the ultimate hallelujah, that you look back and you say, you know what, I'm good, and I look forward and I have no fear. And that might be what it's really all comes down to.
I think you're right. And I think that's what Leonard Cohen wanted people to get out of the song. And I think one of the snippets that he said is that, you could really, everyone has their own hallelujah. And one of the things is that, life could have darker times, but it could also have, some glorious, amazing ones. And that is just you going through life. It's the human experience. And that's what it's all about. You have these things that are in your life that you face, and life isn't all happy and rainbows every time, but you could still try to stand tall and get through it.
For sure. Yeah. And hopefully you have something to rely on, like you said. And I think that's important. And Ice, unfortunately, I every day struggle with those demons, man. I struggle with that voice in my head. You know it better than anyone, unfortunately.
We all do.
Yeah.
We all do, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that's what happens. So hey, maybe just think about this song next time those demons come up, and
I'll immediately block it out of my head and focus on what I really want to do, that the flesh says I have to do. Yeah. Unbelievable. Talk about broken. Talk about the broken crown. What a scumbag.
Stop it. Will you stop putting yourself down? Hey,
yes.
Before we wrap up, could we just please talk about Bob Dylan's cover of this song really quick? Did you ever hear it?
Oh no, I didn't even know there was a cover of this.
Oh,
Are you serious?
Yes. Okay. Well, is
this AI generated? Is this an AI thing?
I don't think so, because I found it on YouTube, and someone recorded it because it was rumored that he had covered it. But it's like someone recording it. Let me look it up really quick just to make sure that this was not some kind of big scam or anything like that.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible!
Yeah, I don't.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it is.
Wow. No,
Yeah,
I'm
so
looking at
I'm
here too.
just
I just did a thing here too. It says 1988. Hallelujah. Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
yeah.
Wow.
So
Oh
it's
my
it's
goodness. I had
so
no idea.
okay. Let me just say this. I've listened to quite a few Hallelujah covers. Bob Dylan's is certainly Bob Dylan like and is the most unique. And I think only Bob Dylan could get away with singing Hallelujah like this.
Oh my
It
goodness.
is.
That's awesome.
It's. I absolutely. He's so how he say she tied you to a kitchen chair, broke your throat, and she cut your hair. It's,
Oh my God. I cannot wait to hear this. I had no idea. I had no idea. Like you said, Bob Dylan can get away with that.
Yes, yeah, he could, and it just it works with him. And the cool thing is, and what I really like about it is that he sings Hallelujah in he has different inflection points, as far as like where he goes up and you just have to listen to it. It's pretty interesting.
That is so great. You know what? That really says a lot about that Bob Dylan covered Leonard Cohen. I mean,
right.
Bob Dylan's modern catalog is mostly rewritten and reworked, like
Mm-hmm.
early blues and Americana stuff, like probably since like the late '90s to now. And that's really the only. And like he's covered Frank Sinatra and stuff. But for him to play a Leonard Cohen song and cover a Leonard Cohen song, that is really, really something else.
Do you think it shows that he like appreciated the song or
I think
Leonard Cohen?
Yeah, I think it has to. I think it does. You know, because I'm thinking about Bob Dylan's projects. I mean, he played with the Grateful Dead. The Grateful Dead were basically his backing band for a little bit. They did a joint tour.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers backed up Dylan. You know, he has an appreciation for what he appreciates, and I think that's really says a lot of respect from Bob Dylan's for you know his artistry and his legacy.
Yeah, that makes sense. But he definitely makes it his own, and it's good.
Awesome. That's so funny.
Good.
That is incredible. I almost lived my entire life without knowing that Bob
really?
Dylan covered that. Yeah, thank you for enlightening me. That's huge.
It was funny because I was doing some research on it, and yesterday I was looking through some video, and I meant to text you about this. I was looking through some videos, and someone had mentioned, everyone's covered it from so and so to Bob Dylan. I'm like, Bob Dylan covered this? I had no idea, and I'm like, maybe that's why Dixon picked it. And so I immediately listened to it. It was great. It was fantastic. You're gonna like it.
That's awesome, man. That is so good.
Let me ask you. I don't know if I asked you at the beginning. I can't remember. What is your favorite version of this song?
You know, that's a really good question. I think the Shrek version is really good. The Shrek version. I say the Shrek version, the John Cale version.
Right. AKA the Shrek version.
Yeah, the Shrek version. Yeah, they should put it like parentheses, like for Shrek, or like. I think there's such a quiet. It's like it's so subtle. It's so subtle.
It is.
And that's what's I think is so great about it. I really like that version. I think that's awesome. The Jeff Buckley version. I mean, if you were like you put it, if you were into music and wanted to start a band and wanted to play guitar and had anything to do with music at all when you're growing up as a teenager, you had to hear Jeff Buckley. You had to hear that song. That's incredible too.
Yeah. I'm sorry. It just snapped into my head. Now that you mentioned, I think I was looking up easy songs to learn a guitar when I first got guitar, and I found that, and then that led me to Jeff Buckley because he plays it in one of his versions on guitar while he's singing, and that's how it. Thank you, Dixon. That's what. There you go. How it happened.
See, it all comes full circle. Yeah. Yes, no, absolutely. That's an incredible version. I mean, anyone you pick is good. I like the John Cale, and I really do. I think it's just it's everything that I think Leonard Cohen wanted it to be without recording it that way.
Right.
Quiet. It's subtle. There's this dignity to it. There's this heaviness to it, but you probably could hear it in an elevator and you wouldn't really, think, okay, what's playing? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that's really good point. So yeah, good question.
Do we even want to rate the song? Are we worthy of rating this?
Wow. Look at you. I think you're right. I think so let's start here. Let's start here. Okay. I think this is where I would put it. So these are like, I'm trying to think of like the greatest songs of all time, like what I would put up there. And there has to be a time limit here. I don't know, 20th century, let's say. Mm-hmm. I mean, because you could get into like Beethoven or Mozart if you really wanted to, maybe, I don't know. But I think you have to talk about, like, there's certain songs that I always come back to when I think about like the greatest songs of all time, or at least the greatest songs of the 20th century. Let's narrow it down, right?
Right.
You have to talk about Like a Rolling Stone, Bob Dylan. Mm-hmm. You have to talk about Good Vibrations by the Beach Boys.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think you have to talk about Jimi Hendrix's version of All Along the Watchtower, which was written by Bob Dylan.
Oh, I absolutely I love that song.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I think you have to talk about, like, if you really wanted to, you could probably talk about Nirvana, like, Smells Like Teen Spirit, if you really wanted to, just for what it did.
This is like impact of these songs. This is like
right.
Yeah.
And I think you have to put Hallelujah up there. I think it has to be at least in the top 5 greatest songs of all time.
I would say so, yeah. And I mean, if you want to argue against that, you could say most iconic songs of all time. But I mean, I don't know why you'd try to make that argument. But I mean, it is just a song. It is beautiful. I can't even. I'm having a hard time trying to find the words to describe this song. But to me, like, it is a beautiful, beautiful song.
Yeah, man. Absolutely, for sure. And there it is. It leaves you speechless, which is exactly what it's supposed to do.
It does. So, I mean, I don't personally, Dixon, I don't feel comfortable rating it.
Wow. What would you say is the greatest song of all time? Quick, go ahead, go right now.
Well, you're gonna have to give me a long time to say. Well, I don't want to just say Hallelujah.
Every day.
Yeah, I was just gonna. Dave Matthews, Ants Marching by Dave Matthews, live at Red Rocks, 1995.
Remember, we'd always text each other back and forth the lyrics to, was it "Lie in Our Graves"?
Oh my God, yes! I love that song.
I can't imagine what is it. I can't imagine we would lie in our graves.
Yeah,
and think about what might have been or something like that.
Yeah, yes. Dreaming of things that could have been or something like that.
Yeah. Like, I remember there was a solid 2 or 3 years where it was just that lyric back and forth between the two of us.
Dave Matthews have some weird lyrics in the fact of how he structures sentences. I can't think of an example right now, but some of them are are strange. It's like, I don't know. Spend our days living well in it continues on, but it also finishes the sentence. I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah.
I might have to try to find some examples. Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of a circular way to say something. Yeah.
Right,
no, I hear
right. Yeah. Yeah. That is pretty funny. I'm gonna have to listen to that.
Awesome.
That's a good song. That's a good song.
I think it's a good song. I don't have any problems with that song.
Yeah. But yeah, so I guess we'll leave it at that. I honestly don't feel comfortable rating it. I just think you have to say it's one of the greatest songs of all time, period.
Yeah.
And leave it at that. I think it has been taken over by the human collective, as the artists have taken it, interpreted it as their own, added things. I think it's just become something else. I think it's become bigger than what it started as, almost.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, but yeah, well, guys, I guess we'll see you next week, and make sure to tune in next week, please, because I have a banger for Dixon's comment of the week.
I cannot wait.
I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be funny.
If you're out there looking for your own Hallelujah, you found it right here. Smash that like button. Smash that sub button. Join us on the road to 1,000, right, Ice? Wouldn't it be a nice journey with us?
Absolutely, guys. We are trying to get to 1,000 by the end of the year. I think we could do it. I know we can do it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we definitely can. We will. We'll look back and say, oh, wow, remember we were at 258? Wow.
Yeah, I know. I didn't we hit 100 like a few months ago?
we were at 100 like this time last year.
Really?
Because I remember, because we had talked about the Smiths like December, January, February of 2023, and then we got to 100, and maybe it was after that. Yeah, it was like this time. I feel like this time we hit 100 subs, but it took us a while. We've been at this quite a bit, right?
Yeah, we have. It doesn't feel like it's been that long, but it actually has been. I'm very surprised.
And we're consistent. We're sticking with it. As long as you're not on the road and you're focused, we'll be good.
I know it is my fault essentially every single time that we're not here. So
sometimes I play the fool too. So
it happens. But guys, we're glad you're here on this journey with us. We got a lot of content. Please look at our catalog. Please subscribe. Please like. Please comment. Let us know what you think about it. Let us know what you think about Dixon's segment, because I absolutely love it. And
yes,
just keep an eye out. New uploads every single week, and we will see you in the next one.
Peace.